Hey, welcome back. Andrea, it's good to see you.
Good to see you. You have a new job, so you've been busy.
Yeah, well, I feel like I might be kind of getting almost as busy as you are. I don't know if that's possible, but so you guys know that I was running and I did win for state chairman of the Oklahoma
Yay,
Republican
Oklahoma. And
Party.
you won by a lot.
I did. I
It
won,
was a pretty
yes.
big margin.
So what's that's a little intimidating, right? So it was
Yeah.
75%. So
Wow.
that is not just winning, that is a mandate from the people
Yep.
saying we
Amen.
expect change. And so it's a tall order, but I know we're up to it because the biggest about the party that I would constantly talk about is how this should be a bottom up structure.
Hmm.
And I've done several interviews where people will be like, "Well, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about that?" And I constantly say, well, I'm going to ask the state committee. I'm going to ask the budget committee because I do
Exactly.
not believe that the chairman should be making all decisions and then doing a top down. This should be a party of the people, by the people, for the people. And so Oklahoma got their party back. It is for the people. I'm
No,
excited for them,
that's the
right?
way our country is supposed to be. We are a
It is.
republic. And people kind of criticize Trump and people in his circle sometimes because like the ego, Trump, Trump, Trump. But I'm like, you know what? When he speaks about his campaign and leading our nation, he talks about the people in his campaign, the people in his cabinet, the people
Right.
that do the hard work. And that's how you've been running brigades. And I'm so happy that Oklahoma came out and said it's time to flip these tables.
That's right. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Trump is a great leader and he
Yeah.
understands that one person can't do it. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's always a we if it's going to be an effective movement and going to be an effective effort. It's always we.
Mm-hmm.
And we have great patriots in Oklahoma, and this is just going to be fantastic. And I
And
look
you're
forward.
just getting started, girl. Just getting started.
You know what, though? We're not breaking down or backing off from the Freedom Brigades at all. Freedom
Yes.
Brigades are still full force. We have a
Mm-hmm.
great team with the Freedom Brigades as well. And so, luckily and thankfully for the rest of the country, it is not all on me. This is other people that are running this, and we have a great team. We have teams in the 19 states that are participating that are amazing, and then we have great administrative team and great leaders throughout the different states. And so, the Freedom Brigades do not stop because I took a political position. We will continue to take back the country. We've got to take back our communities to take back the republic.
Well, and what you've accomplished in Oklahoma, all of us need to accomplish in our states. I mean, I literally been watching what you've done, and I want to do the exact same thing here in Nevada. So that's what the Freedom Brigades is all about. When we have a
Yeah,
victory, when someone can share and we try to replicate it,
that's it.
in our neighborhoods.
That's
Yep.
it. So if you are not joined Freedom Brigades, go to freedombrigades.com. And I want to give a shout out to Tom Renz. So Tom Renz puts us on his platforms. He's amazing. He partners with the Freedom Brigades in a big way. So I want to thank him, and I want to thank America Happens.
Mm-hmm.
America Happens broadcasts all of our podcasts, and he's getting the word out. America Happens and Tom partnered with the Freedom Brigades because they believe in what we're doing, and that means they believe in you. They believe in we the people, because that's the only way we're going to take back the republic is if we quit sitting around and talking about it and actually start doing something.
Amen. Get off your couch and get
Get
active.
off your couch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have a special guest, but before we do, talking about doing something.
Yeah, get off your
Uh
couch.
yeah, well, we've got Dan Lyons, and he's been on the show before, and he's
Mm-hmm.
just amazing. But he has a special just for the Freedom Brigades. If you go to Freedom Brigades and you put in freedom, you will get $79, which is plus 20% off of
Mm-hmm.
what is normally. So what's normally $265, you're going to get for 79 plus 20% off. It's amazing. These are training sessions because it matters that we've got to take care of ourselves. You cannot trust the pharmaceutical industry. We have proven over and over. We had Dr. Stella on. We've had many doctors on talking about you cannot trust the pharmaceutical industry. The Bible talks about pharmakia. I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful for some of the advances in medicine and how it helps us, but we've got to get back to taking care of our bodies. The best form of healthcare is to take care of ourselves. And so Dan is offering to do that. He's amazing. You know more about Dan than I do, though, Andrea.
Yes.
Tell us why Dan is so amazing. I know he's this incredible trainer, and I enjoy my time with him.
Yeah, Dan Lyons, he's the Patriot trainer. So he
Right.
also has a podcast that you can find on Rumble. He's been on a lot of large podcasts because he, from the beginning of COVID, we all got red pilled. Well, he was one like you that was red pilled long before. He has made it his mission to make sure that we are strong enough to where if there were to be a collapse, say there's a blackout, you can't get to your pharmacy, you can't see a normal doctor, things like that. He's trying to get people fit and healthy and learn how to live the way God intended nutritionally, and that's also included in these courses. And you get one-on-one interaction with him. This isn't just where he sends you a packet and walks away, here's your videos, do your thing. He will work with you every week. He'll touch base with you. So it's about we talk a lot in the Maha movement and in the freedom space about all these nutraceuticals and all these supplements and, methylene blue and all these things. And great, Stella too, she's one of your great affiliates. Dr. Stella Manuel is always telling us that the nutritional things we need to be taking and having in our medicine cabinet so that we stay healthy. Well, he comes at it from we've also got to move our bodies. So he's an actual personal trainer. He's been a personal trainer for over 20 years. He's also brilliant because I help him. He also has a blog on Substack, Dan Lyons, substack.com. And if you want to lose weight and learn what you should be eating, and, he'll also help you to know which supplements to take and to how to be healthy if we were in some sort of situation where you couldn't get, your to your pharmacy. So just a brilliant guy. And he's a great affiliate for you. I mean, anytime someone goes and gets hooked up with Dan and types in freedom, the Freedom Brigades gets a little kickback because we're a partner with them. So
Yeah, I mean, that's what matters. That's how we help each other, right? We put up, if you go to shop on the shop tab on freedombrigades.com, you're going to see a lot of different offers. All of these are products and companies that I believe in. I would not partner with Walmart. I would not partner with any
no.
pharmacia or the places that are killing you. There are options for beef and different options that don't poison you. Our big box stores are poisoning you. The grocery stores are poisoning you. It's best to grow your own food and be mindful about where you're spending your money and what you're putting in your body and on your body. And
Amen.
so it's a fight back. We're in the middle of a war, and there's all kinds of tactics we have to be aware of. But
Yes.
we have a warrior with us today that
Amen.
is amazing. She is one of my favorite people. She serves on the RNC with me. She's the National Committeewoman from Texas. Welcome, Debbie Georgatos. And I hope I
Charity
said
and
that right.
Andrea, thank you for having me. Hello. Nice to be here.
Hello.
Hello.
Did I say that right? Georgatos? Did I say it?
It's so darn close. It's beautiful. It's Georgatos, like George
Georgatos.
Georgatos.
Georgatos,
Yes.
but it's wonderful. Just totally fine.
I
Or
love it.
actually, many interviews, people just say, "Can I just call you Debbie G?" That's also fine. Yeah.
Gee, okay. We had some neighbors growing up. We would just call Mr. and Mrs. G because that's funny. So tell us what's going on in Texas. I know that you're doing so much there, and you partner with someone Andrea and I have previously worked with, Dr. Robin Armstrong. And so tell us what's going on.
Well, in Texas, and thank you again, both of you, for having me on. I do represent Texas on the RNC, Republican National Committee, and my counterpart is the committee man named Dr. Robin Armstrong, whom you both know. So he's in the South Texas, I'm in North Texas. He's been a wonderful friend. He's been on the RNC a long time, about 12 years. And so he, just as a little plug for us, he joins me on my talk show here in Texas on the first Tuesday of every month. So we just did yesterday. He joins me for the whole show, and we just talk about RNC issues. But things that are dominating in Texas right now, we have a legislative schedule, which has been the law for many years. We only have a legislative session in Texas for 6 months every other year. So, for everything has to get crammed in, and we have one going on right now, the 89th legislative session. So, of course, many issues that affect every state, they're somehow making their way through the Texas legislature. We have a really strong Texas Senate, meaning we have the lieutenant governor he runs the Senate. He's head of the Senate, and things are going great in the Texas Senate. The Texas House is a very different story. We've had, I think, since 2006, but for many years, unfortunately, the way the Democrats kind of pull strings down here, we have a Republican majority elected by the people, and over Republican majority and we have the Democrats in the Texas House, the state reps, band together, choose a Republican they would like to be Speaker of the House, and then that person pulls over a small number of Republican representatives, and that's who is Speaker of the House. And that position is tremendously powerful. It really makes the make or break what bills get to the floor, who runs committees. So we've had that happen yet again this time. So we have a gentleman who's got an R by his name, and he's probably a nice person. I don't know him, but he is committed to make the Democrats happy because they keep him in power. So we have many very major important pieces of legislation that are just hung up. And so a lot of activism right now in Texas is people showing up in the legislature, trying to push bills along that they were kind of promised. Oh yes, we're going to get to this and get to this. We have the Republican representatives who are the actual conservatives. Now they're at the point of making little videos on YouTube saying, we're trying to get the immigration thing done. We're trying to get the border thing done. We're trying to get medical freedom, healthcare freedom done. And so it's a Texas, you may think around the country that, we're so solidly Republican, and we are in terms of what the voters want, but the legislature is a big and unfortunate different story.
So you said so many things there that are blowing my mind. First of all, you did mention your show. So it's americacanwetalk.org. And how often do you record a show?
Well, for many years, I've been doing it 10 years. For many years, it was 4 days a week. Recently, because of the RNC, I've made it more flexible. So for anyone who'd like to find it, it's americacanwetalk.org or .com. It's also on Rumble. It's on every social media platform except YouTube, where I'm not allowed to be. But all the other ones, I'm there. And so it's really more intermittent. I certainly do a show every Tuesday. I still love to do a Thursday show. In our setup down in Dallas, where I am, on Thursdays or any day, we have a studio that allows a studio audience. So we have studio audience shows, live interviews. Those are very fun. And anyone's welcome to the studio audience. I'll just tell people, if you just want to send an email or a text and say, I want to come to your show, you can do that. americacanwetalk@gmail.com. Easy address.
I love the name. That's awesome. Okay, so tell me, I might have misunderstood this because this is insane. Surely I misunderstood it. So are you telling me that I could come to Texas and if I win a house seat, I get a year and a half off in between sessions? Is that what you just
Well,
said?
in terms of formal session, yes. However, what does happen in in that time period when there's no session going on, they do have hearings, they meet down there, the committees try to meet, the stronger players meet and put things together. So they try to build, they hope they're building backing for some of the big bills, some legislation. So when we hit the ground running in January, every other year, you believe you have certain bills that are likely going to get through. You have people backing them and sponsoring them. So a lot's happening behind the scenes. A lot of testimony is taken too. They'll often say we're having a hearing in the whatever, some committee, the education committee, and you come down and testify on school choice. So things do happen in between. But the legislators is almost like a volunteer job. They're paid literally $7,200 a year. That's what their pay is. So there is an unpaid position. Almost everyone in the legislature has a job because you can't make it a job there. And there's activity off session, but the actual session right now ends June 2nd and will not reconvene again until January of 2027.
That's fascinating to me. So there are so many different elements of that are interesting. So to not make it a paid position, because that's not, and then, it doesn't seem like it's fair to really get business through. But how else could you do it if you're going to require them to have a job? There's a lot of there I'd have to unpack in my brain. That's very interesting. I've never heard of that. It's very interesting. The leaders, though, blocking the bills. So we just had a rally in Oklahoma because we primaried a lot of incumbents, and we have a lot of grassroots in the Capitol right now, and their bills are not being heard. Even some of them that were incumbents aren't getting a lot of our conservative bills heard. And so we went to the Capitol and we had a rally, and it's not helping. So we have another rally scheduled in a couple weeks for the very same reason. But We, the people, elected our legislators to go to the Capitol to do our business and to
Mhm.
stand up for our values. And to have in Oklahoma, it's 6 people that control the rest of it
Mhm.
is crap. That is
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
what we elected. That is not what we said, what we delegated we wanted done. You know, our legislators need to understand that they work for us. They really think it's the other way around, and it's not.
Well, they don't want us to pay attention, and the grassroots are getting upset. I mean, we talk
Right.
about. I hate that because I've always been conservative. Okay, I always knew I was Republican. I hate that we have this rhino hunting that we have to do constantly. I mean, we should have always been vetting candidates more than we did in the past. So I'm glad that that's been happening, especially, you know, with the work that Wayne's doing in Oklahoma. I think it's fantastic. I mean,
Yes.
I love it,
By the
but
way,
it's
his scorecard
sad.
came out Monday, and liberal heads
Oh,
said explode.
oh,
Explode.
good. Yeah,
Yeah, anyway,
absolutely.
that's a
His
different
scorecard's
story.
great, and
Yeah,
every GOP across the nation needs to be doing things like that. But
right.
it's really sad when the grassroots movement is told to shut up and sit down because all we want is transparency, and they don't want we the people looking behind the curtain. Anyone
Right.
who's fighting us on the transparency issue or not wanting we the people to get involved or be in the room are the ones that need to go. Those are your rhinos. And it is sad, like we were just talking to your friend in Georgia too, and how corrupt everything is there with Kemp. I mean, we've got one or two people in certain places that make it to where these good representatives can't do anything.
It's absolutely true. I'll say a couple things about Texas. We had just as one example that really it just displays many aspects of the problem. We have in Texas, as you probably have something, I don't know what you call it, but in Texas, it's the Republican Executive Committee. It's the state party, the GOP party has an executive committee made up of a man and a woman from each senatorial district. So it kind of does the business of the party. And they create or a number of legislative priorities for every session. This time there were 8. And so, these are created not just by the SREC, but by all of the delegates at our state convention. So big part of our convention is, what are we going to do? What are our legislative priorities? And so all of the debate and goes on and on, finally get down to the ones we have. So one of them was, this is also a shocking thing about Texas. One of the legislative priorities was no Democrat committee chairs in the House. And you were thinking, well, why would we ever have a Democrat committee chair? Because it's a Republican majority. But historically, it became kind of just kind of showing that we're gentlemanly, or we're not so rawly partisan, that for many years, even though Republican voters gave a Republican majority in the House, they would appoint a Democrat chair of a committee who would then block the Republican priorities and let the Democrat ones through. And the people are saying, stop giving chairmanships to Democrats. So that was one
That's
priority
wild.
that the party said, okay, we'll do this. So what they did this time, they did indeed on the state House side, and this is the Texas House, they did appoint all Republican chairs of the committee. So everyone's saying, yay, this is awesome, because we all Republican chairs. So then they have House rules that are passed each time. Each time there's a new legislative session, new set of rules. These House rules this time came along. And so all of the vice chairs must be Democrats, which has never been the case. They made that rule. So they honored this priority, Republican chairs, but all vice chairs are Democrats. And then the rules were adjusted so the Democrat vice chairs have at least as much power as the chairs. So they look right in your face. They come back and say, this is so great. We passed it. Look at that. We were listening to the people. We said no. You said no Democrat chairs. We said, okay. But it's the same shenanigans going on yet again this session, because the vice chairs are all Democrats, and the Democrats run the Texas House. It's simply astonishing.
Wow. Well, and I mean, we were talking about Wayne's scorecard that he's doing there in Oklahoma and that every state needs to be doing. It's wild to me when he said, I think the number was close to 80%. The Republicans were voting with the Democrats 80% of the time. That's in Oklahoma. You guys, I'm in Nevada. You're in Texas and Oklahoma. I'm in Nevada. That is terrifying. So even it's terrifying that the guys with the R next to their name they're not ours. Our party has been, like you just said, been letting this corruption come through. And I have friends in California, because I'm right here in Nevada, who literally, they've shown the evidence of Democrats running as Republicans pretty blatantly and just getting away with it.
Yep, we have this. I'm sorry if I'm making noise, rustling papers. The party just sent out a list of what the state party of what we think we can get done this session, given how. Oh, then so also in this session, they've kind of dragged their feet. They've been having a series of 5-day weekends in a row. They took forever. So now in this really limited remaining time, they are saying, well, we can still probably get a few things done. So some of the legislative priorities are starting to move through the process, and that's good. Many of them they've given up on. But even there, I could give you more examples. That's probably too far on the weeds for this kind of discussion. But even when they'll put a bill in that says, well, yeah, we're really doing this here. Look what we're doing. They will have an amendment put in that completely undermines or actually even reverses the impact of the bill. It just goes on and on. So it's a battle because I think one of you are implying, I think the voters in Texas chose Republican values. That's what they think happens. And so the other part, and then they get down there, and we do have people, I would, in my assessment of their conduct, I would say are probably Democrats in their hearts, but they run on the Republican ticket because you can't win in Texas otherwise. But their heart isn't in it. And so they're, better vetting is one thing, more activism, more people aware, more voters aware that, in the primary, this is the right person, this is not the right person. Voter responsibility, and a huge thing, of course, is money. Plays a big part of it too. Who's going to get money from the governor's big fund plays a big part in how people vote.
And we've been talking about the corruption with the budgets, like charities has that going on in her state. We have that in my state, of course. And it's wild when you actually do get to see the books. They usually don't let you see the books, but when you do get to see the books, it is, I encourage everyone to, because you should be able to see who donated to everyone. And people go through my state, all the grassroots we go through to expose that. There's so much corruption. The amount of corrupt Democrat money that gets funneled through your Republican candidates would shock most Republicans. I mean, absolutely shock you to the core. And a lot of them are pro-abortion and pro-socialism donors. Why are they donating to Republican candidates?
No, exactly.
To control them. Yes,
exactly. I mean,
or maybe that's actually the Democrat candidate, right? Maybe that's actually the candidate.
Exactly. And we brought up the Arnolds in Texas because we have some dirt on them. There was a Missouri rep that was all of a sudden visiting them at their place. These, pro-abortion rich people who give money all over to the Republican Party. I don't know why, right? Well, he's visiting them at their place and going golfing, and all of a sudden, the candidate that was running on that Christian platform, rah, 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 I'm conservative, constitutionalist, da, 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 da. All of a sudden he starts voting Democrat after he becomes best buddies and gets money from these corrupt donors.
I got it. So it's the irresponsibility, the lack of integrity. That's what people are frustrated with, right? We want people that are honorable leading us because the Republican values are honorable. And I got to say, you said something that we just skated right over. And I was like, wait, what? So they work 6 months. They work for a year and a half to get to this 6 months every 2 years and have the audacity to take 5-day weekends in that 6-month period. Like that should be the period they don't take long weekends. Like unless somebody died, you need to be in the office. And then, that's insane. This
is like Doge. If we were to take our party,
no integrity in that.
If we were to take our party and look at it like Elon Musk Doge, how would you run a business where first they don't get compensated, they have to work other jobs, and then they get a year and a half break? How do you get anything done? And they do this on purpose. They want us to be ineffective, and they want the guys with all the ones that want to keep the control. They want to keep the control. They don't want to run it as our Constitution intended, like a republic. And they don't want our representatives to be representing we the people.
That's it. Exactly right. There's one or two, one rep in particular has been outspoken this time and just been saying, going up to the microphone saying, I want to vote no on the next 5-day weekend. We don't need another 5-day weekend. We need to work. Look at all this being backed up. So there is a core of Republicans in the Texas House who are trying to get things through that people really care about. They are the ones that we had a big purge in the most recent election cycle where a lot of incumbent Republicans were taken out, new ones came in, and we'll be having big primaries again because we still don't have the House responsive to the people. But those people, the new people, they are far more assertive, and they're trying to say we got to stop doing this. We got to try to keep ourselves in session. We got to push these bills through. I will give great credit to our state party chair Abraham George and the vice chair Dorinda Randall. They have been trying to work with legislature on these priorities. Also, the members of the state Republican Executive Committee, very, very dedicated people. Many of them over there and just following the bills because they're trying to figure out, oh, how did this bill somehow it shifted? What are they doing? Oh, I see they put something in that undermines the whole purpose of it. These people are relentless. So there are people down there in Austin. I haven't been there nearly as much as a lot of people, but I have been down there. And yeah, it's just a constant watching them because you're a little bit afraid they won't do the right thing unless you're watching. Not all of them. I'm mean, very clear. There's some great senators, state senators, and great state reps. But the overall Republican Party should be in charge, and they're really not.
Well, and very ineffective for obvious reasons. But you brought up something that I bring up a lot with Charity. You talked about fresh blood, right? Fresh blood in that have been voted in. That's what's happening in Oklahoma. We've got these grassroots great candidates that Charity and the Freedom Brigades got in front of people, endorsed them and got them in office. I want to flip the whole table for the GOP so that we have transparency, we fight the corruption, we get power back to where it should be. And I think a big thing for me, and I've been saying this for like the last 5 years, I don't want incumbent. I don't want someone who's been there. I want new, fresh blood. I feel like that has been a critical part of our success is getting new faces in there.
Absolutely. We have in Texas, beside obviously in every House district, you have some activists. They try to get something new in. There is another great group down here. It isn't a Freedom Brigade. And I love Charity, what you're doing. I meant to say at the start, Charity, congratulations to you on that landslide win for being chair of the Oklahoma GOP. That's huge. And that is just very consequential. In Texas, we do have something, it's a bit of a mouthful of a name, but it's Grassroots America, We the People. Grassroots America, We the People statewide group run by Joanne Fleming. And they are also relentlessly on this, what's really happening on these bills. You think this is happening, but it's not. They're relentless in trying to help. I mean, they're just an extraordinary group in many, many ways. So we do have people, we have a lot of activists in Texas.
And it takes We the People, and that's what Freedom Brigades is all about. It takes We the People getting involved because like you just expressed, even a good representative where they're are rare to find. The good guys are hard to find in the room sometimes in politics. But even the good representatives are fighting a battle that they cannot fight without We the People supporting them. I mean, again, very little pay, very little ability to fight the swamp and fight. I mean, you're talking about fighting Republicans that, we're talking about rhinos, but we also have the Democrat Party that we're not even mentioning the fight on. I mean, we have a big push for socialism and the one world, the globalism and all that. And if we can't even get our own house organized, how are we supposed to fight that behemoth when we can't even fix what's going on in our own house?
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's exactly it. So we have to clean up the Republican Party to take back the Republican. I like what you're saying, Debbie, about I didn't realize the movement was that strong in Texas. Now we do have a couple of other friends, a couple of Johns that are friends in Texas, and I know that they're working with the Patriots there. But I do believe what's happening in Oklahoma and in Texas is happening in other states. I know I've been working with many other states, and the people have had enough. And this is a God-led movement. It's like there was a switch, and people are like, we're done. We're getting involved. They let them steal an election right in front of us, and they sat down and told us to sit down. And then they masked us up and told us to not go visit grandma while we watched them kill everyone that went into the hospital with remdesivir and said science doesn't matter. You don't question science, which, by the way, is the exact opposite of how science works. You always question it. Anyway, that whole propaganda was just insane that anybody bought that. You don't question science. That
they said that they eviscerated the Constitution in the name of an emergency. Yes. And it's like, so when you sit back and you watch the Constitution, your constitutional rights just completely get destroyed. That's why a lot of us we were red pilled quick and we jumped up and we said, okay, I got to fight this because like I say all the time, I've got kids. Okay, if I mean when you talk about the fight in the Bible Belt and then Texas and stuff, again, I'm out here on the West Coast. I'm right next to California and Oregon and Washington. I'm living in the socialist corner of the universe for our nation, and it is terrifying to think of what happens if we don't win now. Like we need to win
We have
now.
to win.
Yeah,
But we are. The Patriots are on the move, and I do believe we're winning. But we don't stop. We're not even close. We are winning, but we have to keep fighting because the
amen.
enemy is relentless, and we have to be relentless too. And I think the Patriots know it. It's
Mhm.
really encouraging to me what I'm seeing. I think the Patriots do know. Debbie, I did want to talk to you about you're having some issues that I think is going to be a bigger issue for the rest of the country if we don't pay attention and help you and become aware of what's going on. Tell us a little bit about is it, I never know whether to say Sharia law or Sharia law.
Sharia.
Sharia law. So,
Mhm.
what is going on in Texas and this takeover with Sharia law?
Yeah, I'm so glad we're discussing this because it is, as a really interesting thing, the people advocating for Sharia, it just is Islamic law. And Sharia it's not like the Italians have a set of laws and America has laws and Germany has laws. Sharia is really equal with Islam. Sharia, and in fact, a friend of mine is very immersed in this issue, keeps saying Sharia Islam, Islam is Sharia. Sharia is the set of laws that emerges out of Islam that covers every aspect of human life. It is not just like in the Ten Commandments or reading the Gospels and understanding you're being told, you're given some certain moral strictures. That's what the Judeo-Christian scriptures would say. Sharia is all encompassing, ranging from how you wash, like what sequence you should use to wash yourself, as well as every aspect of human life. And Sharia is, it's ancient. It comes out of the Quran and the Hadith, so very, very ancient. And it is in some Muslim majority countries, it is the entire law of the country. Pakistan's a good example. Sharia is the law. There's no separate set of secular laws. Everything is Sharia. And the part of what people don't know, and I think you both have done this, but I have as well, immersed myself over really the last 10 years, understanding more about the concept of Islamization, or pushing Islam on the world to the point that, and pushing conversion, forcing people to convert to Islam. The concept of, and I just want to introduce a term, you guys probably both already know it, but for your viewers to look this up, there's a term called, everyone knows what jihad is. You
Mhm.
associate it with, oh my gosh, we had a attack in a German Christmas market. We had an attack in France at the Hebdo magazine headquarters. Jihad, a physical bombing. That jihad is just holy war. It is a war to force conversion to Islam. There's a term that the Muslim Brotherhood embraced called civilization jihad. And if anyone listening, if you want to email me at americacanwetalk@gmail.com, I can send you a link to it. You can download the document I'm speaking about yourself. But basically, in 1991, the Muslim Brotherhood, which is the umbrella organization that controls all of Islam in this world, is running the jihad movements. The Muslim Brotherhood International Group wrote a document in 1991 calling for civilization jihad on America. And what they're saying is we're not going to bomb and attack through physical means to bring America into, to submit to Islam, to bring both Jews and Christians and everyone else to submit to Islam. We can't win this war in America with physical jihad. We can win it with civilization jihad. It means getting into our American communities and culture, and the vehicle by which they do this, they set up communities, and we have all of a sudden just a massive proliferation of Islamic communities in Texas, some right near where I live in North Texas in Collin County, and they are advertised by the imams as come live here. We bought massive acreage. We're going to build homes, stores, schools, mosques. It's literally all inclusive. You would never have to leave. And these have been popping up all over Texas. And originally, or months ago, the imams who run these places are were putting out ads on YouTube with lovely little videos and, generated images showing how beautiful these are going to be. And they were being described as for Muslims. And so it's number one, it's antithetical to the American concept of, we don't say we're creating a community. It's only for any faith. We don't say it's only for the Baptists or the Lutherans, or we don't do that. But that's what this was. And that by itself is should be illegal and is offensive. But it's worse than that. This is what we're talking about: is civilization jihad is a um, concept in the minds of people who believe in essentially Islam taking over the world, forcing infidels to be killed or converted. Civilization jihad is what's happening in Texas. And I'm sorry for the long answer, but so yes, in Texas, we all of a sudden have an explosion of organizations and places where they're saying we're building a community here. It's for Muslims. And Sharia, to go back to your point, Sharia is what they should view to be, should be the law everywhere. And they teach Sharia in Islamic schools, and they want to have Sharia councils where their disputes, especially with respect to marriage and child custody, are resolved by Sharia, not by American law. They're carving out little Islamic states all around Texas and other places too. And for your listeners also, quick book to make a reference to. Raheem Kassam is the author of a book called No-Go Zones, How Sharia Law is Coming to a Neighborhood Near You. And he's describing what's happened in England, France, Austria, Germany, the Netherlands, all over Europe, Western Europe, and in America, where the concept of spreading Islam, not necessarily by force, but spreading it by creating little communities where essentially they are self-enclosed little Islamic caliphates. Way more than you probably wanted to hear. But the point is, yes, it is imperative that people in Texas and around America realize this is an Islamic, slow-rolling Islamic takeover, very much like the communists engage in slow-rolling communist takeover. That's what's happening in Texas and around America.
And intentional infiltration. And I have family in London. And so, in Europe, you've been seeing this for a long time. When you're there, you can see it clear as day. So it's wild to me to imagine it happening in Texas. I have family in East Texas, so I actually will be there in July. I'll be in Texas visiting, but it's crazy to me that people don't understand how scary this is.
Yep. Yep, it is. And, it's a lot for people 10 years ago when I began researching this, it sounded so crazy. Why would any religion in the world think they're going to take over the world and conquer? But when you begin to read what was written back at the time of the founding, written in the Quran and the Hadith, all the what they call their holy scriptures, they do say the point of Islam is to take down the world and bring the world into one caliphate under Sharia.
So define caliphate for those that don't know. I know John Bennett, so I know what caliphate means, but for those that don't know, explain that, because that's a scary word.
Yeah, caliphate. You remember when we were all watching ISIS, and ISIS, when Obama was president, was building a larger and larger area where they were taking control? ISIS was created caliphate. It's simply a geographic area where Islam is in control, and therefore Sharia is the law. And it is a growing sense of Islam. It's like a geographic entity that says you're not a country like you thought you were, you're not a state like you thought you were. You're under our control. And the goal of an international caliphate is actually written into founding documents of Muslim Brotherhood. They're not joking. I mean, it may seem absurd, but they're not joking.
So Muslims are very, and maybe not Muslims, okay, so Sharia law is very oppressive to women. They're intolerant of the ideas that the left so much wants to push on us. And we've even seen stories, right, where Sharia law is supreme, where you're seeing child brides and stuff. So when you say that they want to put in their own system and their own courts, are they wanting to supersede the laws of Texas and the United States?
Yes.
If they could, they would. I think they're not brave enough to say that yet. They're pretty careful. They're realizing, people aren't going to like this. In fact, even down here, these ads that were inviting Muslim Americans to come and live in these communities, they were very bold about it. And then they pulled the ads down because there is a lot of opposition growing in Texas, organized opposition. and people being understand we really better be alert to this, and so that they have pulled back from that. But yeah, Sharia. I'll tell you, Sharia has a law about apostasy, meaning if you ever agree to become Muslim and then you leave the Islamic faith, the penalty is death.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and Tom did work in India and all over the world, and he's more cultured in that area. But we talk about on the show, it's wild when we talk about all the left's kind of skewed view of it, because I mean they will literally throw homosexuals off of roofs and kill them. We have video, we show it, and so it's crazy to me how uneducated people can be on this. And for me, it comes back to when you look at Western Europe, because we've covered this on Seth Holhouse's show too. He's talked a lot about the violence. Rape has exploded and all this kind of violence that's going on, and it has to do with immigration. Now, the type of immigration where you just have an open border, you just let anyone in, and they don't get it. There's no assimilation to the culture, so you're getting these cultures that are completely opposed in values and everything. And there's no law making it stop. There's no law of the land that's holding these people accountable and saying, no, we have a constitution. You have to know it, memorize it, and live by it. We have these laws in place, and our Christian founding, the laws are based on biblical values. And that's where, it's wild to me that you think you can have an open border and just let everyone do whatever they want. And you don't realize that it's going to result in the profound amount of violence and crime and things that we're seeing in those areas is sad. It's terrifying. And it's like humanitarian crisis, having no borders. This is what happens.
So
Yeah,
some of our people are going to be watching and say, okay, so how is this different than like the Amish that have their own community with their own laws? But you're saying, and tell me if I'm wrong, that this is dangerous because they have said in their playbook that they want to take over the world. So you don't believe this will be contained to their communities. If we allow this to grow, you believe that this will be, and I agree with you, by the way, that this will eventually, their goal is to force it on everyone and it will not be contained to these communities. And they want their law to supersede our United States laws and values. That is the danger? Am I missing? Is there more to this that I'm missing?
No, I think you're exactly right. As to the Amish, yes, we do have special, they live in their own communities and they follow a different set of rules, but they don't violate American law and they don't want to push their lifestyle and beliefs on America. They're just saying we want to live a simple life.
And they don't kill people when they want to leave. I mean,
they don't kill you either, right?
But I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, I want to mention for your listeners, because I know, especially if this is a new topic for anyone, it can seem overwhelming. I want to urge 3 things you can do. One is there's someone on X named Amy Meck. Her name is AMYMEK. Amy Meck. Follow her on X. She has Rare Foundation, RAIR Foundation. She is documenting what's happening in America. I think it's rarefoundation.com or .org. I don't know what, but follow her, read those things, because you realize how pressing the problem is in Texas. Very different from anyone who just says, I want to follow my faith, because there is a literally 1400-year history of Islamic expansion, forcing conversion, taking over lands that we would have said we historically were Christian lands and now are Muslim lands. It is a conquest ideology is woven into the heart of Islam. And I'd love if you also follow me on Twitter. I'm trying to talk about it more at Debbie Can We Talk. At Debbie Can We Talk. I'm actually organizing things down here to try to respond to this.
That's powerful. Well, do you have anything? This is to me is a very frightening topic because we've seen what happens in the Middle East. I mean, if you go back just a couple of decades ago to Iran, women were not all covered up and oppressed. They looked a lot like women in the United States. And so this can happen more quickly than we wish it would. And so we need to be vigilant and be mindful. Yes, Debbie.
I'm saying I just have a really good example about pushing Islam. So one thing in Islam that, I mentioned apostasy. If you try to leave, they'll kill you. There's also a big prohibition within Sharia about blasphemy, meaning if you speak ill of Islam, the founder of Islam, which is Muhammad, or any of Muhammad's contemporaries, if you blaspheme Israel, either Islam or Muhammad, it's punishable by death. And it says that in Pakistan law and other countries following Islam, following Sharia, punishable by death. We might say, okay, that's their problem. There's 48 countries or Muslim majority, that's their problem. But part of this civilization mindset is what's happening in UK right now, where the concept of blasphemy, which is, saying bad things about Islam or Muslim people, is being prosecuted under laws that have now become laws in the UK. People are being punished and sent to jail for putting Facebook posts up that criticize Muslim groups. So that's an example of how creeping Sharia, creeping Islamization, and entering into the law books and court system of a truly otherwise formerly Western country.
Yep.
Wow. That is, I really appreciate that. This is concerning. People need to pay attention. So there is a CAIR, CAIR, that is, are they in every state? I know we have them in Oklahoma. You guys have some in Texas.
Yeah, I think they're not nationwide, but yeah, no, they're headquartered in Oklahoma. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So I would just encourage you to look up CAIR, CAIR, in your communities. And while I don't want to make anyone the enemy, I also am not interested in being controlled by any group either. And so go ahead.
One more quick thing. There are peaceful Muslims all over the
Yes.
world.
Of course.
Peaceful Muslims in America who are not trying to build these communities and create Islamic enclaves. They're living in American life. They're following American law. They're paying American taxes. Good people. This is not to lump all Muslims, all Muslims. It is those who have the Islamist mindset.
I actually believe, because we're friends with Pastor Bernadette Smith up in Michigan, I believe that the Muslim community up there is why Trump won overwhelmingly, because they're very, very much against, and they linked arms with our Christian friends up there that were fighting the indoctrination and the sexualization going on in the school system, because they don't want their kids exposed to that either. There's a lot of great, for me, it's all about freedom. So what we talk about on this show is we want to fight corruption. We want to live by our freedoms of our Constitution. So if you're against freedom, you and I are going to go head to head. And everything you just explained about that culture is anti-freedom. So that's what it's about. It's not separating one culture of people, because not all people of any culture are bad people. But if like what you're saying, if you're going to make it seem okay or legalize murder, are you kidding me? Or go against our constitutional values of freedom, then we're gonna have to fight you on that.
So it's the extremists that are trying to control society, that want to have extreme Sharia law in America that we have an issue with. So I'm a Christian. I actually have ran 2 campaigns now with that as my first point, because that's my value. But I always say I would never force my faith on anyone else. This isn't about their faith. This is about not allowing us to lose who we are in America, and not allowing any group to say, it's going to be our way or the highway. I would never force anyone to go to church with me or believe the way I want to believe, but this is my value system, and I'm going to fight for my values.
Well, in our communities, we have laws
which allow you to have your own system. My values allow you to have your system. And so
exactly. Amen.
I love what you're both saying too about freedom. There is just as the reason I do my talk show is to talk about preserving America's unique and extraordinary greatness, commitment to individual freedom. And that's what we all must fight for. And this Sharia and any kind of Islamization is just fundamentally opposed to the concept of individual freedom, which Christianity, Judaism, America's founding, we respect freedom and the right of the individual to pursue their own faith.
Amen.
That's right. Well, Debbie, thank you for coming on with us today. I've quite enjoyed it. I will see you next week in Miami. Looking forward to it. And
I can't wait to see the pictures.
Andrea was going to come, and she couldn't come at the last minute, but I think she's going to come with me to the summer thing. So we'll see how that works out.
I'll be there soon. You're taking your mama, which is good. I can't wait to.
Yeah, she's going with me.
She'll be so excited.
That's nice. I will see you then. I look forward to it. And thank you, both of you. It was really fun talking to both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, guys.
God bless everyone.
All right, freedombrigades.com. Sign up 4 hours a month of your time and you can take back your community. That's how we're going to take back the republic, is you take back your community, and we'll help you out. Thanks.
Amen. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.